Hi there everybody, my name is Andy. Welcome back to videos on my channel. I've been away for a few weeks, and that's basically for one reason. I have been feeling terrible. Now, I don't know if I've had coronavirus or not because I haven't had a test. There's no particular reason for me to have had a test. I've had a technically mild illness. It didn't feel very mild to me, but I haven't needed any treatment from a doctor or a nurse or paramedics, or had to go to hospital, or had to be incubated, or had to have anything like that done to me. I managed to recover from this illness on my own. However, the likelihood of it being COVID-19, coronavirus, is fairly high. Now, I usually do sex education videos on this channel, but I do welfare videos as well, so this kind of falls into the welfare category. So I'm going to take you through how my illness came about, what I did to deal with it, and also why it's so important at the moment to stay at home, especially if your government, obviously I'm in the UK, our government's saying to everybody stay at home unless you really need to go out, or you know, for example, going to the shops or exercise and things like that. Unless you need to go out, stay at home. So 2 weeks to go today. This is a Sunday I'm recording this on, the Sunday before this video comes out. 2 weeks ago today, Sunday, about this time, kind of early evening, I started feeling feverish. Fevers are where it's actually above a particular temperature. I'll look it up. It's like 37.8 degrees off the top of my head. Maybe I got that right. But I felt hot, basically, on my forehead, on my chest, and on my back. That is typical fever. You don't have to measure it, but if you feel really hot on your chest, or your back, or your forehead, or any combination of these, and it's not because you've gone running or some other good reason for it, it's like you've just taken a shower, obviously it'd be hot, right? That means you have a fever. Fevers tend to go in and out as well, so you get really hot and then you go back to normal temperature, or you might even feel cold. You go hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold all day. They're known as undulant fevers. Undulant fever itself is a particular illness, but undulant as in goes in and out, okay? So this was 2 weeks ago today, and I felt awful. But next day, woke up, okay, I had a bit of a fever, felt like I could do work, and I'm working from home at the moment anyway, because of everybody being off because of coronavirus. So I did work on Monday. It wasn't too bad, got through it pretty well. It was okay. Tuesday, more or less the same. Didn't feel so great, had a little less energy, but by the time we got round to Wednesday, I felt terrible. I couldn't really concentrate on something. I basically started to have a headache. I was kind of losing the fever by then. I wasn't feeling particularly feverish, but I had the headache and I couldn't concentrate. So I had to email in to my work and say, look, I can't work. I've got to go back to bed. I've got to get on top of this. I was in denial, basically, that I was really ill. But at that point, because I couldn't concentrate, it was like, right, go back to sleep. And that did the world of good. I took Thursday off as well. And on Friday, I was like, I feel better. The headache's kind of gone. The fever's kind of gone. Ooh, looks like I've got over this. And I worked all Friday, not a problem at all. Got through to the end of Friday, relaxed, started watching some YouTube videos. And as the evening progressed, I started feeling really bad. The fever was back, the headache was back. I've been drinking loads of water. Not so much as to like be overhydrated, but I've been drinking so much water, it wasn't because of dehydration or anything like that. At least I didn't think it was. And it ended up that I went to bed about 10 o'clock with this hideous fever, but I was freezing in bed. And then about 20, 30 minutes later, I was roaring hot in bed. And by that time, my body was shutting down anyway, saying, "You're going to sleep now." And I was like, "Yep, not a problem. Put me to sleep, please." I have not felt as bad as that other than when I had tonsillitis on my 30th birthday. What a time to get tonsillitis. I used to suffer with tonsillitis relatively regularly when I was at university, like every couple of years. So that was my 4th bout of tonsillitis. And luckily it's been my last, and it's been a few years now. So I'm quite happy with that. Now, my mum, by the way, was a student nurse, and my grandma and granddad were nurses in the NHS. So we have a family who is aware of how to deal with these kind of things. Often, apparently, when you have a fever, when you have a virus or some other infection, which means you have a fever, it's not unlikely that you might feel better and then suddenly you feel bad. That bit is your body giving the virus or whatever's causing the problem the last blast it can to make sure it's gone, right? So think about it when you have a bacterial infection and you get given antibiotics by your doctor. The reason why they tell you to take the whole course, even if you feel better, is to keep at this bacteria and make sure it's gone, right? Because if there's a bit left, it becomes more resistant to the antibiotics, I should say, and that means that it can mutate and be worse next time, right? Anyway, so on Friday night, felt awful, felt the worst I have for a very long time. Woke up on Saturday morning, felt feeling a lot better, not amazing, but a lot better. And throughout Saturday, just chilled, relaxed, because of course it's the weekend anyway, so that was fine. And that meant that I thought I got over it. I mean, I thought I got over it on Friday until the evening when I felt awful. But I thought, okay, that's great. That's the last blast. We're all good. We're clear. Don't know if it's coronavirus or not, but whatever it was, I'm good now. So on Sunday, I felt fine as well. I went out on Sunday and got food because I needed food. Why wouldn't you? You felt fine now. You've been self-isolating for a week because that was obviously the previous Sunday, which I got the fever. So 7 days later, end of self-isolation, went out and got some food. And by the way, if it was coronavirus, I would not be infectious anymore 7 days later, even if I was suffering some symptoms still. Highly unlikely anyway, highly unlikely that I'd be infectious at that time. I'm not a doctor or a nurse. I'm not qualified, but this is what I understand. Please look at actual sources such as the NHS website for better information. So yes, I went out on Sunday, got my food. Monday, started feeling a bit fatigued. I thought, okay, that's fine. You know, you obviously had a week of being quite ill, so you know you're going to be fatigued, and kind of worked through it on Monday, and then again on Tuesday, feeling even more fatigued, feeling like I couldn't really do much work, but got through to the end of Tuesday, and then on Wednesday felt even more fatigued and emailed my boss and said, "Nah, mate." I mean, in hindsight, I should have taken 2 weeks off work. Not the equivalent of 3 days, right? But Wednesday, it was like, can't do this. I've got no energy. I can't think. And some of the reason for this, and I should know better than some other people about this kind of thing, is that the fatigues come because I was doing work, because I was using my brain, and that takes a lot of energy. And if you haven't got much energy reserves left, then you're gonna get fatigued very quickly. So this was the problem. So on Wednesday, took Wednesday off again through illness. On Thursday, went back and did a day's work because I knew that I'd taken Friday and Monday tomorrow off as holiday anyway. I'm so glad that I didn't cancel my holiday for Friday and Monday. Friday felt fine, but slept, basically. Had to sleep. All through this time, I'd been going to bed at like 9, maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock, and sleeping until 8, maybe even 7:30 the next day. So we're talking minimum here, say 10 till 8, 10 hours sleep every single night. That is when you know your body is running out of energy. And that had been the case for nearly 2 weeks solid. Why I didn't register this and think there's no way you can do work during the day, I have no idea. But that's the situation we found ourselves in, I suppose. Luckily, Friday, halfway through Friday, I was like, great, I'm getting over this. I can feel the energy coming back. Had a good lie-in on Saturday morning as well. And of course, the clocks jumped forward this morning, lost an hour this morning. And I couldn't get to sleep this morning because I was like, oh, I have all my energy again. I feel absolutely great. On the day the clocks go forward. Anyway, never mind. So now my body clock's completely out of whack. That aside, I feel much better now. I have the energy. This is why I didn't record any videos. It's not because I didn't want to. It's simply because I didn't have the energy to sit down and think about what I wanted to say at all, about anything. And it's the strangest feeling, especially when you think you've got over an illness. And I had a cough, but not something which was going to be a problem for me. The cough in the second week, I'm going to be slightly technical here. Basically, when the virus attacks the respiratory system, if it's one of those kind of viruses, at the end there'll be some dead cells basically in your windpipe. And that's what's being coughed up at the end. So if you have a cough after you've had a fever, that's completely normal and usual and is what's supposed to happen. You're no longer actually spreading the virus at that point. It's fine. Again, I'm not a doctor. This is what I understand the case to be, but I have good authority that this is the case. Was it coronavirus? Well, like I said, I don't know. I haven't been tested. And there's no point now taking the antigen test. The antigen test is testing for if you have the actual virus or not in you, right? What I need to take now I'm well, and I'm well past the infectious stage anyway, they need to test for antibodies. So have I got stuff in my body now which will fight the virus? There's been lots of stuff on the telly about whether you can become immune. Yes, you can. You will definitely be immune for a couple of months minimum, probably much longer than that, 2 or 3 years. And that's plenty long enough for a virus like this, which may or may not mutate anyway. So I need that test, and the government will want me to take that test if and when they can get them up and running and out and people can actually take them in the first place. It currently doesn't exist, but it may exist very soon. But what's the likelihood of it actually being coronavirus? Well, quite high. I don't get ill very often, actually. I have the odd cold, like everybody does. But viruses don't tend to affect me too much. There's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, I went to uni away from where I lived, so I got the freshest flu. That basically is viruses from other parts of the country, including the part of the country that you've moved to if you've moved away. Because everybody's coming from different parts of the country and you're in close contact with those people, right? Yeah, you're likely to pick up those viruses because you have no antibodies to them. I stuck around at university for a while because I was an elected officer and took a little while to get to my degree, shall we say. So there was years and years of me dealing with the freshers every September, right? And then I went to work for a student union somewhere else, so that's another set of antibodies which I don't have in comparison to the antigens which I get from that kind of area. Yep, I have freshers flu there. I know it's freshers flu because I actually joined that particular student union in October, so after they've had their freshers week, and I got ill 3 weeks later. Standard. And then I moved back to Manchester, then moved to London, got a bit ill after that, but not much. Basically, I've moved around enough to know that I have most of the viruses that you get from other people kind of coming from somewhere. Secondly, I live in London now. So London, as you might know, is like the epicenter of the outbreak in the UK. Lots of reasons for that, including, of course, the tube. And up to the Thursday before I got ill, I'd been travelling on the tube to work. So that meant that I could have easily picked it up any time during that week and had that incubation period up to 7 days, easy peasy, and got ill on the Sunday. Reason number 3 is that it lasted so long and took so much out of me. So it feels like it's a new, novel virus rather than some strain of something I've had previously. So where I am, the severity of the illness, the fact that I've had fresh flu like 20 times, but I haven't been ill recently in the last few years for any significant length of time, means that I think, and there's a reasonable assumption that this is coronavirus, or was, I should say, was coronavirus, which in many ways means that I'm now immune and can walk around London with impunity. Unfortunately, it's rather like Schrodinger's cat, because I can both assume that it is and isn't coronavirus, and until I get tested, I don't know. Perfect quantum mechanics, actually. The good news is, of course, that I'm very well now, and I do believe that I have made a full recovery. We'll find out if I fall ill again for some reason. But I've been at home. I haven't gone out other than that one time to go shopping. I haven't really been out the front gate at all. Oh, and to take the bins out. But that's it. That really is it. Firstly, you do not want coronavirus if you can help it, right? It's pretty nasty. I'm lucky that I'm, in my 30s and generally fit and well and have pretty good lung capacity because, I played the trumpet when I was younger because I play sports and that kind of thing, right? There's very good reasons why I would be absolutely fine, but you do not want it if you can help it. It's possible, if you are fit and healthy, that you could die from it just because you get a really bad belt of it. So my message to you is really, really simple. Follow your government's advice. Wash your hands. Make sure you do it for about 20 seconds. Do it with hot water and soap. Stay at home, especially if your government is telling you to. Each government will have scientists who are doing modelling, all the rest of it, and it is important you follow their advice because it's different in each country because of things like the population, just where you are in the stages of infections and deaths in your country. They're working off the information that they have, and that's the best they're doing for their country, right? They don't know if they're too early or too late until after the event. You can't blame them for what they're doing. Listen to your government's advice. Stay home unless you need to go out for food, medicine, to help other people, to go to work, if that's something you can do in your country. I really hope you stay well and you're doing well. Let me know in the comments what you're doing to stay safe. And remember, I usually do sex education videos on this channel, which is a really good reason to subscribe. Click the little bell icon so you know when I next upload. And therefore, I will hopefully see you next time. Bye-bye.